Welcome everyone to a quick Tortuga Power channel announcement. As I zoom in on my carrier task force. Well, we got a few tigers taking off here. Routine exercise. I'm sure this is nothing but a normal patrol. Just testing out our wings. Going in. Well, okay. It looks like we're fighting China. What the devil? Why would the United States... Oh, we hunted them down. We actually destroyed that air group. So what the heck is going on? In fact, well, what the heck? Is this South Korea owning all of Korea? Oh my gosh, is this U.S. territory? Is the U.S. invading China? Okay, stop for a second. This game is Supreme Ruler Ultimate, and it happens to be one of my favorite games of all time. There's a lot of games that do the Wargame plus geopolitical simulator plus economy, production, all these things. Not a lot, actually. I guess the other one I can think of that really fits the same role as this one, I think. There's stuff like Hearts of Iron, which is much more focused on the war side. Doesn't, abstracts away some of the... obviously Hearts of Iron is only supposed to be played for for a decade, and this Supreme Ruler is basically a sandbox. It's just like Superpower series. So Superpower 2 used to be my favorite game for, at least my favorite, this type of game, where you're playing as a nation with all the different little details, all the bells and whistles. Like in Superpower 2, you had to manage, same kind of stuff, the production of different sectors and balancing trade deficit versus all the different spending. Are you going to, increase tourism, all these different things. So these kind of games have always caught my interest. In fact, I would say that these are the kind of games that if I was to be dropped on a deserted island for 10 years, 5 years, whatever, these are like the prime choice. You want something with a lot of replayability, you look no further than Supreme Ruler Ultimate. I think this is quickly rising in my Steam list as one of the most played games, and it's definitely one of my favorite games. So what is this channel announcement about? And by the way, this is like take number 5 trying to do this announcement, because I can't stop talking about Supreme Ruler Ultimate. Once I start going, I just keep talking about all the amazing mechanics. I just think the game is extremely well thought out, very well designed. Okay, so I'll jump back to that in a second. Announcement is because I'm going to be streaming Supreme Ruler Ultimate on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, November 25th, starting at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 4:30 p.m. for those on the East Coast, Eastern time. And hopefully you can adjust your time zone from Eastern time or Pacific time to figure out what time that means for you. And hopefully you can join us. Join me, but join everyone else as well. And why, in particular, this channel announcement? Because I do streams. I don't always announce them. I almost never announce them. Well, and this one in particular is special because I've been in contact with BattleGoats Studios. BattleGoats, the developer and I guess the publisher as well for Supreme Ruler. And they have a new game coming out right now, Galactic Ruler. Let me just give you something to watch while we... Oh my gosh, China and Korea are going at it. It's madness. We're pushing in. So anyway, their new game is called Galactic Ruler. It's got like you're taking over different planets in the system, and on the individual planets you go down to a planet view, which is like this, but there's also fleet battles in space and stuff like that. So it's the next iteration, the next big game from BattleGoats. I haven't tried it yet. I only looked at the trailer. By the way, a very good trailer. Just check it out. I'll have a link to that game, the Steam page of it, in the video description below the video. But yeah, in my discussions with that, BattleGoats has generously offered to provide 2 game keys for giveaway. And I'm going to give away at least one of those game codes on Wednesday's stream. And maybe both. It just depends on whether I can do a follow-up stream or not. So, if you, for some reason, are into this kind of game, this geopolitical simulator, and have had just... sometimes people quote that the learning curve for this game is a little bit too high, or It's a little bit difficult to figure out what to do because there's so much you can do. In that respect, it's a little bit like Distant Worlds Universe. I feel like this game would benefit from a very detailed tutorial, which I've never... I mean, there is another person who does a lot of this. I think his channel is Average Gamer. And you can probably check out his stuff if you're ever interested in seeing some tutorial videos I think he has. Those didn't stick for me as well, but I usually learn by just playing and watching someone else play rather than specific guided or like tutorial messages, because everyone mostly likes to learn by playing. Anyway, so this stream will be on Wednesday, and I'll be giving away a game key. If you're crazy enough not to have already gotten this game and it's the kind of game you like, or if it's something you're interested in checking out, come join us on Wednesday. Now back to the interesting thing for me, which is talking about Supreme Ruler. So like I said, this is take 5 trying to record this announcement because I have like 4 videos previous to this that are now over 20 minutes, and that's not what I want my... Oh, it looks like the Koreans are pushing. That's not what I want my announcement video to be, but there's so much I keep talking about with this game, and I need to just save it for the stream. We have a very fun stream in store for us, by the way. I did a test game with Alekius, and I think it's going to be action-packed and a lot of fun. I won't be doing the Cold War start. This is my favorite start, so this is the Cold War start. There are various starts you can do. I won't quit out of this game quite yet, but I will show all the list in a moment. So basically, Korea is assisting me because they are my allies. I'd like to think that they're returning the favor because if you notice, I'm calling them Korea. I'm not calling them South Korea. There's no North Korea. What happened in this alternate timeline is there are scripted events that happen, which nicely guide the world in a semi-historical manner. It's a little bit of framework on which the wheels can roll, but mostly this is a sandbox and crazy things can happen. In fact, I have the settings pretty tightly tuned so that the AI doesn't do too much, which keeps us more on wheels. And those are not the default settings. If you just leave things default, you'll probably have a lot more wars and, well, you'll have more diversity. But I kind of like playing along. I like to tweak little things in history, just tweak them a little bit in my favor, and then keep playing. So in this version, like I said, the Korean War happened. That was one of the scripted events, 1950, 1951, so we're a decade past that. But the United States, actually helped South Korea, and not just helped them to hold the line, or, I mean, historically they held line, right? But we completely overran the North Korean forces, and that's why this is not South Korea, it's simply Korea. Because the game, very cool, it actually, changes the name from South Korea to just Korea once South Korea takes over. And that's what they've done here. So I'd like to think that Korea is now trying to pay back for my help by really just putting in so much. I mean, I have forces all around here, just that I'm kind of not paying attention or doing anything with them right now. This is kind of another interesting thing. We can actually see in some places that there's Soviet unions here, and I don't know what they're doing, actually. But that takes me to another thing I wanted to talk about, which is how we got into this situation to begin with. So I help with Korea, but what would lead me to invade China? And just to let you know, there's a nice balance of everything in this game. I mean, I hopefully will get a chance to quickly go over some of the other details, like balancing the state budget, the resources, research. Speaking of research, that little beep means we just finished something. Improve modern aircraft. Oh my gosh. Which is probably going to open up a lot of stuff for us. Let's pause real fast and see, did it? Yeah. So we just got improved modern aircraft, and you can see that this is just a science that by itself doesn't do anything. What it does is it opens up new designs. So not surprisingly, improved modern aircraft leads to new, I guess, aircraft designs. Oh, we even have like the Alpha Jet here. And like everyone has access to this technology, but if I sort by designs that are related to me, the ones I can build, okay, for us, this will impact us by helping us to build the F-111E. I think I have the F-111A already. And look at that, the A-10A Thunderbolt 2, which is obviously something I will be beelining for. We definitely want that in our Air Force, which is a story hopefully I'll be able to jump back to in a moment, because I want to talk about B-36s and how cool those were. But to get back to the geopolitical balance, not to talk about those mechanics for just 1 second, and trying to be mindful of time here. China has a scripted event, just like the Korean War is scripted, to invade India in 1962. And this is the Sino-Indian War of 1962, which it was really just a border skirmish. It related to Tibet. I think India accepted the Dalai Lama. I'm not an expert in this time or period of history or location, the border interactions between India and China. It's just a little bit ironic that I'm talking about this, because we've seen this flare up a little bit recently. I guess in 2020 we had the little bit of tension on the Chinese-Indian border, and I don't know if that's just a common occurrence or if the news just somehow caught it this time, and it's always been there, those little scuffles at the border. But anyway, it happened in 1962 in a big way, that China was essentially saying this is our territory, and India didn't recognize it. And so China's way of asserting their claim was just to push in with military forces. And it did not go well for India. But in this situation, we actually have the Soviet Union also kind of fighting against the Chinese. Now, the Chinese were pouring in here. But what happened is, when the Chinese declared war on India, if I go to any other neutral country, like I know Argentina's really, they're exactly neutral to me. I'll go to my negotiations with them and we'll get kind of a diplomatic overview here. Diplomatic ratings are pretty good between our nations. Civilians, not. So the American people don't think highly of the Argentinian people, and it's reciprocated as well, this mutual distrust. And then this last one is what I'm referring to here, casus belli. We have 10% war justification against them. They have 16% war justification against us. Pretty low numbers. And that means if you were to declare war, if I was to declare war in Argentina, there would be a big pushback from the international community. And mainly that's done by people getting war justification against you. And that's what happened. China declared war on India, and it gave me, I think I had 90% casus belli against them, which is down to 70%, but that's because as you inflict casualties, your war justification decreases. So I'm probably inflicting a lot of casualties and my casus belli is dropping, but not that we really need one, we're already at war. They also have a huge justification against me because, hey, I declared war on them without good war. I mean, even with war justification, I guess if you declare war on someone, that's a pretty good grounds for them to declare war on you. Although it's obvious you're already, de facto at war. So, what does that mean? China, the Russian thing is a little bit interesting because this is also somewhat historical. And in this game, Dalian, I think this is, I don't know what it's called. It's a peninsula, the Liaodong Peninsula, Liaodong, I don't know. This peninsula with Dalian, this used to be a Soviet base, and it starts that way in this game. And because of, again, this kind of scripted, some of these things being scripted in, which is pretty cool that it can keep things a little bit on the rails. It doesn't completely go, I mean, I'm not sure if this event happens if, China and the Soviet Union are at war. But sometime in the 50s, late 50s maybe, China takes back this Soviet base. Dalian was a Soviet base, and they demand or I don't know if the rights expire, or I think China actually, there's a fallout between Mao and, what was it, Khrushchev? No, the Russians, the Soviets, basically. I mean, they have a falling out, and this is actually a period of falling out. Go read about it yourself. I need to refresh my memory on it myself, obviously. But one of the things that happens is that China returns this base. Anyway, this is all cool. This is all happening, and the reason why I think this is such an amazing game is because it can present a semi-realistic, none of these, there's so many factors that go into play on why the world evolves the way it does. I mean, even things like you can talk about the butterfly effect, a small little thing creating ripples everywhere. What would have happened if Korea had unified, if South Korea had won the Korean War? I mean, just the the world's storyline probably branches dramatically. Anyway, I'll be playing this on Wednesday, and I'll talk a little bit more. I'll just basically gush over all the different mechanics, but I really like the way the research is done. I really like the way you have to build your forces. So you research science, then you research the actual designs. So if I go over here to tactical bombers, we can, so the A-10A Thunderbolt 2 is now something available for me to build. That's awesome. Oh, and we can see that even the Nighthawk is, it's not ready yet. I have one more technology, Air Force Production 79, that I need, and then we'll be able to get to that. So it's pretty cool that we can now start building some of these, and that's going to take some amount of days, it's going to take some amount of money. Even more importantly, a lot of the times, a lot of these things have an annual maintenance. I mean, not a lot of them, all of them, but this is usually as significant as the build price, and we can see it is. So this is $350, takes 108 days. And then, but after that, we still have to pay $190 million every year to maintain this. So those are things. I mean, you get like the B2 Spirit, and it's like $35 billion a year to maintain. So it's pretty pricey. It's, the maintenance of that is enough to afford buying outright a couple new Arleigh Burkes or something like that. You got a lot of interesting decisions. And just being able to control your military. I always like when you can research ahead of time, get ahead on the military research, and then I'm fielding F4 Phantoms in 1962, which is I think it's my big success story right now. Okay, these were out in 1961, but anyway, whoops. I think I just gave these guys orders. Let me cancel those real fast. And let me unpause, and maybe we'll push forward a little bit. I'll grab some of my forces here, and we'll try to take this area. And I wanted to talk about B-36s, so I'll try to do that real fast. You can see that I have some B-36s that are not completely 100% health. In the original Korean conflict, I used B-36s, just mass-produced them, and they are have an insane bomb load. They are just very impressive. But it turns out that China has now kind of mass-produced oh man, we're taking losses. Oh, we're gonna lose it. So I don't think we lost any there. Yeah, we still have 7 units, which is what I started out with, but we're really getting beaten up, and that was pretty cool to see that. Although in the Korean War, my B-36s essentially just completely dominated North Korea. And the reason why I talk about dominating China as well is because the same way Korea is supporting my forces, even though this is my territory, like if I turn on my empire, this is American territory. We launched our invasion from Korea, but it's our territory that we're conquering. Back off. So I was helping Korea the same way. I was in their territory, helping them in the war. And now Korea's in my territory, helping me in this war. And, going back now because they just got their butts kicked, apparently. But we'll go ahead and push forward. Again, for the sake of doing something. Oh, looks like... Oh, I think they just destroyed my... Yes, we lost the garrison. That's not too bad. We'll keep trying to push forward here. Might be able to get this guy. Yeah, well, at least we didn't eliminate that force, but we were able to take the city. And then, what I would like to do is just be bombing the heck out of them with the B-36s, but the AA is actually ripping these apart. So it's kind of cool. It's it's a very clear indicator to me, just through battlefield experience, that it's time to switch from the B-36s to the B-52s. And the B-52s even have slightly less of a bomb load, but it's basically comparable. And these they're much more survivable. So it's time for us to make the switch. So I think I'll leave the channel announcement at that, because here we go. Oh, one last, I forgot to mention this. This game has a really extensive time period. From 1914, you can play the Great War. You can start in 2020 and take that to 2100 or so. I don't know when the technology stops, but we'll be playing 2020 Shattered World, which I think is pretty cool. We'll be playing as one of the states and going after the other states, and we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to it. Hope you'll join me on Wednesday. Until then, stay safe and take care.